Hey Josephine, it's Grandpa Nickell here. It's September 2014 and I've been working on your quilt, and I thought I'd better stop and take some videos here so you'll have a little history of how I made it, when I made it, and so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. I got the pattern from a friend of mine. It's called Bees, Bunnies, and Bears, and I'm going somewhat by the pattern here. I designed my own layout and size to make it a little bit bigger because I want you to be able to use it when you get older, not just when you're a little bitty baby. So I'm going to give it to you on your first birthday, November 27th, 2014. Grandma and I are going to come out to see you and your mommy and daddy on Thanksgiving Day on your birthday, and I'm going to give you this quilt. So let me tell you a little bit about the quilt, and I'm going to take some videos along the way as I make it and as I sew it together, okay? I'm laying out some of the pieces and parts here. I've got the center piece here that I'm working on right now. So you can see I'm basically putting the appliques on here. Of course, it'll be a few years before you'll be able to understand all these words, but I'm hoping you'll keep this video, and as you get older you'll look at it from time to time and you'll see all the work and love and joy that Grandpa put into this quilt for you. So here I'm working on the pieces here for the teddy bear patch, and then here's the teddy bear paw prints. This is actually a separate piece here. This is actually a separate piece here that I'm putting together. And that's going to be the top corner, as you'll see when you get it. And I've got my cutting table laid out here where I'm cutting out all of the different squares and patches, all the pieces. And here's all the material that Grandpa bought to put the quilt together. These will be all the different pieces and parts that I'll end up cutting out and putting together to make this quilt. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it because it's for you. So one of the other pieces that I've planned to put into the quilt is going to be down in the back corner, and you'll know this by now because by the time you see and understand this video you will have had the quilt for some time. But Grandpa bought this little piece of circuitry right here, and it's got a little speaker, and I basically use this to plug it into my computer and record a little song for you that you'll be able to press a button in the bottom corner of the quilt. I'll velcro this into the quilt, and let's see if you'll be able to hear. I'll push the button here, see if you can hear it.
Hi Josephine, it's Grandpa Nickell. I hope you like your quilt. I love you. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Please don't take my sunshine away. Love you.
Oh, I love you. Yeah. So I'll be sewing this into the bottom corner of the quilt, and you'll be able to hear me sing to you for hopefully many years to come. Okay, Josephine, I have got all of the appliques put on, and you can see up there in the corner, starting up there with the bear, and then the flower pot, and the bunnies I just finished today, and the flowers and birds in the middle, and the beehive I finished yesterday, There's the bee and the heart, and the little girl bear. I just finished her yesterday, and then the picket fence. So I have all the pieces. Now I have to sew them. I have basically used a iron-on technique to iron them onto the material. All the pieces, all the individual pieces were cut out. So if you look at that flower, for example, there's a lot of pieces on that flower there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 different pieces on that flower, and they're all just ironed on. Now I'll have to take and sew them on, and then I'll take and put green borders around everything, and then sew everything together, and then put border all the way around all of the pieces, all the blocks and patches, and then I'll go into the quilting. Hey Josephine, it's Grandpa Nickell again, working on your quilt some more. Remember all those pieces I showed you that were all laid out on the bed? Well, I'm starting to sew them together now. As you can see, I'm cutting out these green strips here that are 3.5 inches wide. Is that right? Yeah, 3.5 inches wide. It'll actually give you a border that's 3 inches wide, because you have to sew a 1/4 inch on each side here, so you end up with 3 inches. I'm just telling you that so when you get ready to make your own quilts, you know, that's a little thing that you'll learn. Just kidding. Anyway, so I'm getting the pieces sewed together and getting the borders sewed around, and I've got about half of the top finished here, and working to finish the rest of it. And then, okay, Josephine, believe it or not, I'm almost finished with sewing the whole top here. And after I finish this last piece here, it's the border that runs along the long edge, the last border, I'll start quilting. I'll put the backing. I've got a yellow backing that I'm going to use, and then cotton batting that will go in the middle. So I'm getting ready to sew the last piece, and this is probably the only time that you'll ever see the underneath of the top with all the seams and everything. You can see all the threads where I've sewn the appliques. So every single one of these seams I had to sew together, and then I have to take and iron every single one of these seams out flat so they don't have bumps whenever you're doing the actual final quilt. So I've got all these seams sewn here, and you can see where I've pinned this last piece on here. My pins are falling apart. And getting ready to sew this last border on here, and then we'll start quilting. So you can watch me sew this last piece here. Make sure we do this straight, so we take our time here. And some people pull the pins out as you go, but I just keep them far enough away that I don't have to worry about that. I don't know if that's the right way or the wrong way, but it's the way I do it. Isn't this fun? Yeah. Keep it straight here and don't want to get hung up. Last piece I sewed, I had one of the pins catch me on my pants leg here and started digging into my leg. I felt it right away, so I stopped. maybe I should stop here and tell you a story about I'll go ahead and just finish off and get this done. Right where those seams come together, you gotta make sure that when you're sewing them that they're laying flat, otherwise you get a little bump in there. Okie dokie. Believe it or not, that was the last stitch for the top. You cut off that thread, go down to the other end, cut off the excess thread down here. And then I'm going to go take all the pins out and I'm going to iron the last two seams. And I'll take some video of me ironing those last two seams because it's so exciting, you know, to watch somebody iron. I know in the years to come, you know, you'll probably rewind this film, this movie, and to watch me iron the seams of this quilt. Very exciting. Okay, Josephine, I promised I would show you some exciting footage of me ironing the seams on the back of the quilt. So here it is. So I'm going to take some before and after shots here. So this is a before. So this is what the seam looks like before I iron it and get it flat. And you can see these other seams where I've already ironed them. So I'm getting ready to iron this last seam before we start actually quilting and putting all the pieces together, the bottom and the middle and the top here. So I'm going to set up the camera down here and I'll go ahead and video this and you can watch me iron that seam. Might want to go get some popcorn or something. Okay, got my iron. Have no idea if I'm in the frame of the video or not. My head's probably chopped off, but that's okay. The important part is to be able to see the iron hitting the seam, because it's just unbelievably exciting here. And with this steam iron, every once in a while that steam will flare up and hit me in the face, and that's even adds more excitement to everything. And I'm about a fourth of the way through here, and this is just amazing. So here we go, and I'm hitting the halfway point pretty close here, and folding I got to take my fingers and spread that seam out so that I can iron it flat. I suppose, you know, a person could skip this step, but I think it makes the final quilt look better, because if I didn't iron this out, and you'd have bumps on the top surface of your quilt when it was finished, you'd feel it. I think you'd feel it. And so anyway, we take the time to do it right here. Like I said, I'm taking my finger, spreading out the seam as I go along, and then coming in right behind with the iron and iron it flat like this. I did this once on a long seam and didn't realize till I was pretty much almost finished and realized I didn't have the iron on. I was kind of wondering why things weren't coming out quite right. So that's one thing you want to make sure that when you're doing this, that your iron's actually on and hot. It's a good idea. Alrighty. Oh, there's that steam. Alrighty. So I'm just going to kind of run the iron over this real quick. And then I'll take and I think I already got the other one. Yeah, I already got the other one. So I'll just turn it over here real quick. And I usually like to just hit the other side, kind of flatten it out from both sides here. And I hope you're enjoying your popcorn while you're watching this movie. And you're going to see the finishing step here for the top. And there we go. I just got to trim the edges off, and then I'll set it up in the quilter here, and we'll get this thing finished today. Hey, Josephine's Grandpa Nickell again. Well, we're getting close. Been working on this quilt for a long time, several months. I'm taking my time because I want to make it extra special, just for you. And I'm probably doing the most elaborate quilting I've ever done, although I haven't done all that many quilts. But anyway, I'm in the quilting phase now, and after I finish this, I'll be putting the binding on, and I'll get some video of that exciting activity. You'll probably have to go get some more popcorn. I'm wearing my Route 66 shirt today that I got for my birthday. And when you get older and get in school, and you have some class called Ancient History, you'll probably read about Route 66. How that man used to use these things called cars to travel from one place to another. And then there were these things called roads and highways that were made out of concrete and asphalt. And there was this famous road that stretched across the large part of the United States called Route 66. And my shirt has a lot of pictures and scenes from that famous Route 66. So I thought I would incorporate a little history lesson into this video of the making of your quilt. So I'm going to get going again here. I've been doing a lot of work on this quilt and taking my time to try to make some really nice patterns. And some of it I can do from memory, and some of it I have to do with something called, let me get to a stopping point here so I can talk to you. Oops, I'll have to fix that. Templates. So I have a laser pointer on this quilt, and I can draw templates, or have my computer draw templates for me, and follow that template with a laser pointer. So I get really good quilting patterns. And some of these I just kind of go, and you'll be able to tell on some of those. And some of them I'm using my laser pointer to follow a template that I printed off of my computer. So I'm going to finish the rest of this quilt, and then I'll take it off and cut the edges off, and the top and the bottom, and then I'll put the binding on. So the next video that you see will be pretty much Grandpa finishing up your quilt and sewing the binding on. So I'm going to go over and turn the radio on and play my Route 66 music and finish quilting your quilt. Love you, Josephine. Okay, Josephine, all done with all the quilting. got all the quilting done, and I've cut around the edges, and now I'm sewing on the binding. It's the piece that goes all around the quilt on the edges to keep the edges from falling apart. So I got all this material here that I've sewn into one long continuous piece, about roughly 280 inches, and I've started on it already, got a little bit of a start so I can show you. So basically what we do here is we start on the back side, and I cut a 1/4 inch seam, and I'll sew the back side on first, and then fold it around to the front like this, and then I'll sew it along the front end. And I just bought a brand new sewing machine this morning just for you, well, for me to use, but for your quilt, because I wanted to put a fancy stitch on the binding on the front of this quilt, and I didn't really have one on my other sewing machine. So I went out and looked at sewing machines and found one with the stitch that I liked, kind of a fancy stitch. So I bought the sewing machine so I could put that fancy stitch on here. I like the sewing machine. I'll let Grandma use it too, because I'm a nice guy. Anyway, I didn't want to videotape all of this sewing of the binding, because this takes a long time, and sometimes Grandpa says some things that he probably don't want you to hear while I'm sewing this binding. So we'll just videotape a little bit of it, and I don't think you've got enough popcorn to see the whole binding being sewn on. So I'll videotape a little bit of the binding sewing, and then that's about it. Well, I got a kind of a surprise that I'm going to put on the back, and I'll do a little bit of videotaping of that, and that'll be the finishing touches. And here it is, about the end of October. Halloween's coming up Friday, so I'll be able to finish this in time for your birthday. So when you watch this videotape years later, you'll hopefully still have the quilt, and you'll be able to watch and see how Grandpa made it for you. Okie doke? Alright, let's do some sewing here, okay? Alright, here we go. Here we go. I gotta get this thing over here on this side. I've got this one side started down over here. So I've got to line it up here and make sure I keep 1/4 inch seam all the way down the edge. And we'll sew that back side like I said. And I've got, let's see, this is 1, 2, this is the 3rd side. So I've got almost half of it done here. Ready? Isn't that exciting? Okay, I don't think you can take any more of that. That's just a bit too much. So I'm going to cut the videotape off here, and then when I get ready to finish that little surprise in the back corner of the quilt, I'll come back and videotape some more. Alrighty? Okay. Okay, Josephine, got the quilt all finished for you here. I just hung it up, and can't see it all in the video, but you'll get it soon enough. So we're all done. I've got the binding all sewed on all the way around, and all the quilting, everything's finished, and got a little patch on the back that it's Velcroed on, so that when you wash it, you can take the patch off and wash the quilt. And the patch says, "Every stitch was made with love by Grandpa Nickell." And it sure was. And there's a little place here where you press and you'll hear Grandpa singing, "You Are My Sunshine." Okay? So you'll get it on your birthday, and as you get a little bit older, hopefully you'll come to appreciate it and be able to use it. I made it bigger than a baby quilt so that you can use it as you get older. So if I hit the button here, you won't hardly be able to hear that little bitty speaker, so I'll just, on the closing credits of this video here, we'll sing "You Are My Sunshine." You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Roll the credits. You make me happy when I... Oh, we don't have any credits. Oh, okay. All right, we'll start over. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Please don't take my sunshine away. Love you.